you try it out and find out if you're a square or a rectangle. And remember, it's not magic, it's math.
Are you ready for an exciting word adventure? Join us as we meet fun letters, discover awesome words, and play with sounds on an epic phonics journey. Sing songs, create words, and have a blast along the way.
My hat and my bag, and let's go visit the market.
Catch Word Adventure on Beelit. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. only on TVWAN.
For a 5-0 was wicket in hand. I think that's the way to go in subcontinent conditions, especially here.
Hello and thanks for joining us for another news update. Igam barracks in Lismore province proudly opened its newly upgraded chapel on Tuesday, March 4th. The Director General Pacific Division of the Australian Defence Force Air Commodore Joe Brick officiated at the reopening of the chapel. Brigadier General Larry Opper acknowledged the presence of the Director General Air Commodore Joe Brick. He appreciated her for making time to travel from Canberra, underlining that this speaks to the long history between the two forces well before PNG's independence. Deputy Leader of the Opposition and MP for Chuave, James Nomane, clarified that the opportunity for a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister is available anytime Parliament convenes and will occur if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the substantive Section 18 application set for trial on Friday, March 14, 2025. Therefore, Nomane says the VONC is being vigorously defended in the courts to ensure that the executive government is held accountable by members of Parliament.
On March 4, 2025, the Supreme Court's five-man bench comprising Chief Justice Gibbs Salika, Justice David Kennings, Justice Derek Atchen, Justice Ogali Dingake, and Justice Eric Rico issued two rulings concerning the validity and procedures surrounding the application for Parliament to be recalled. The application had been filed following the events of November 27, 2024, when efforts to place the motion on the notice paper were obstructed. The significance of this case lay in its implications for parliamentary sovereignty and the dynamics of governance in the nation. Nomane filed an application under Section 18, subsection 1 of the Constitution, seeking to restrain the Parliament from dealing with a proposed constitutional amendment regarding motions of no confidence in the Prime Minister. The application was based on Order 3, Rule 2A of the Supreme Court rules, which allows for interim orders to prevent prejudice to the claims of the parties. The Supreme Court ruled that it lacks clear jurisdiction to grant the interim order, as it would violate the right to freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in Parliament guaranteed by Section 115 subsection 2 of the Constitution.
The court refused my application on the grounds that the Supreme Court lacked jurisdiction, as it could not interfere with parliamentary proceedings, and in so doing, it enforced the separation of power espoused in Section 99 of the Constitution.
The court upheld the right of Parliament to be recalled under Section 18 of the relevant legislations, clarifying that MPs have the authority to initiate a recall in instances where matters of confidence arise that could affect the leadership of the executive. The justices emphasized that parliamentary procedures should be respected and that any impediments to such processes could be deemed unconstitutional.
However, it's very important to note that on paragraph 3 of the decision, on page 6, paragraph 3, the decision further states that the proposed amendment would have nil effect on the vote of no confidence, since the proposed constitutional amendment would operate prospectively, not retrospectively.
The court in its ruling articulated specific procedural requirements that must be observed when filing a motion of no confidence. It underscored that all members should be afforded appropriate notice and the opportunity to discuss and debate the motion, ensuring that the democratic process is upheld.
The Supreme Court ruled that the challenge could be made. The challenge to the proposed amendment to Section 145 of the Constitution could be made pursuant to a special reference under Section 19 of the Constitution. The good news is that there is a Section 19 reference already on foot. And the proposed Section 145 amendment to the Constitution by the executive government will be rendered sub judice and not allowed to be debated, deliberated and discussed even on the floor of Parliament.
The implications of these judgments are far-reaching. Firstly, they reaffirm the principle that elected representatives must be held accountable to their constituents, particularly during times of political instability. Secondly, the decisions ensure a clear framework under which future motions of no confidence can be pursued, thereby enhancing governmental transparency and accountability. Freddie Moe, TV1 News.
The Minister for Justice and Attorney General Pilar Niningi applauded the Supreme Court for upholding the doctrine of separation of powers as enshrined under Section 99 of the Constitution. This comes after the five-man bench of the Supreme Court refused the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, James Dumane's application to restrain Parliament from dealing with a proposed amendment to Section 145 of the Constitution when Parliament resumes on March 14, 2025. However, the Supreme Court refused his application because the application lacked jurisdiction. In welcoming the court's decision, Niningi clarified that the amendment intends to protect the way leadership is governed and gives confidence to the conduct of leadership in the country. The Book Belong Pikinini St. Stephen Library Learning Center was opened on Tuesday, 4th March at 3 Mile in Lay, marking a milestone in the community's early childhood education and literacy development. Sponsored by Lay Biscuit Company through the Chow Foundation, the center will provide literacy, numeracy, and digital learning programs for young children. BBP founder Anne-Sophie Herman expressed gratitude, highlighting the importance of private sector support in education. John Chow, the CEO of the Chow Foundation, described the center as a symbol of hope and opportunity. The ceremony featured a traditional Kawari dance performance and speeches from former BBP students who credited the program for their academic success. In news overseas, many of those preparing their homes for the cyclone are still recovering from the 2022 floods. Thousands of homes and businesses were devastated and many haven't finished rebuilding. But some business owners are hoping they can learn from their experiences and be better prepared this time.
Burn was almost completely underwater.
There's still a lot of trauma, and if you drive around town you'll still see that there's a lot of houses that still aren't even rebuilt.
Sandra Peters runs a bakery in the town. She and her staff will be keeping locals stocked up before evacuating at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
We're doing bulk bread, so our bakers are starting 5 hours early tonight to do bulk bread and bulk pies.
Thousands of Lismore homes and businesses were destroyed by the 2022 floods. Mayor Steve Krieg had been in office for a matter of weeks.
I threw everything that I had into trying to protect Lismore, but I was made very acutely aware that I put the city first and my family second.
This time, he's more conscious of protecting his family. They live above his restaurant, which he opened in a new Lismore location after the old site was flooded.
It was a gamble, no other way to describe it.
This concrete levee protects the Lismore CBD, but in 2022, floodwaters went nearly 4 metres above it. The SES says it's preparing for the possibility of water to go over it again this week, but it's putting measures in place to protect residents.
If our levee was to overtop this week, I just don't know how many of our businesses will be able to take that.
Organisation Resilient Lismore helps to rebuild disaster-damaged homes.
We will swing into action as soon as we can after the event. This is something that happens in our community. None of us like it, but we know how to do it.
Preparing for the worst while still recovering from it.
Back home in sports, recently retired PNG rugby touch representative player Eugene Eka still loves the game by indulging himself in the game in other capacities. Early this week, the lofty Kaugereman joined other local coaches and referees for a 2-day training workshop run by expert coaches from the Australian Defence Force at the Sir John Guise Stadium in Port Moresby.
After missing out in a similar training workshop concluded in 2023, the former PNG international would not miss this year's opportunity to learn from the best. The training run by the Australian Defence Force internationally accredited experts to ensure participants receive globally recognized qualifications. Eka said he would not attend the last one due to the Pacific Games in the Solomon Islands. He said the 2-day sessions covered so much from policies to structures of the game, the rules in class, and concluded with practical skills, mainly passing drills, attack and defense skill under ADF coach leading aircraft women Amanda Crowley.
A lot of policies and structures of the game to cover in terms of refereeing and coaching, but it's just introductory for coaches and refereeing as well. So there's intermediate plus levels after that I'm not really sure about, but I'm looking forward to attend whatever is going to be held here in the coming future.
After announcing his retirement from representative football after the Solomon Islands game in 2023, Eka is transiting to the next chapter, which is coaching and refereeing. He said this also allowed him to put into practice his wealth of experience and knowledge about touch rugby at the highest level and share it with colleagues from other associations to lift the standard of the game in the country.
Last time they came and facilitated these courses, most of the coaches didn't go back and give back to their associations or team. I'm not sure about it, but from attending this course, if you want to go the next level, you have to go back and coach. So your association or the federation will give feedbacks back to the Federation of International Touch so they can score you according to what you've been doing after this course. So it's really important for us to take back what we learned today to go back and give back to the code or to our local teams.
Eka is also reminding touch football clubs and enthusiasts in the NCD that the local Port Moresby touch competition resumes this weekend, thus encouraging clubs to organise and get the games running again. Rex Little, TV1 Sports.
PNG's US-based athletes are preparing well for the upcoming Pacific Games in Palau, with another national indoor record being set last weekend. This time, it was Leonie Beo in the 200-meter, clocking 24.38 seconds at the Conference USA Championships in Virginia, eclipsing the time of 24.40 set by Afure Ada in 2017. Beo had a fine start to 2025 with a series of good times in the 200-meter and a personal best of 7.65 seconds in the 60-meter. Isila Apkup has also shown consistent form in the 60-meter and 200-meter with best times this season of 7.61 and 24.71 seconds. Meanwhile, the other PNG athletes are looking forward to the outdoor season underway in March. That ends our news update for today. Do join us at 6 tonight for more news and sports. Bye for now.